Now we are moving on to the Aurelia application structure or the folder structure. In this chapter, we are going to focus about Aurelia starting application and we will focus about the folder structure. Then we will move on to the core concepts of Aurelia framework. So these are the basic, you can say the basic application structure of Aurelia, starting with package.json, index.html, config.js, styles and src. We have package.json, index.html, which are nothing but the files, even config.js, which from the name only you can get it, basically focuses about the configuration of the application, and styles and src are the major folders, which includes all the code base which are needed for the application. So let's start with it. So we'll go to our code base, our Visual Studio Code Editor. Over there, I'll open each one of these files, starting from package.json, index.html, config.js, and then moving on to the folder structure of styles and src, that is nothing but our source folder. So let's go to our code base. This is our code base for Aurelia application, which includes the Aurelia project node modules. Node modules are nothing but the npm package modules which are already installed because we created this application with help of command line interface, that is CLI, Aurelia CLI. That's why we have all the related node modules which are needed for Aurelia application. Then we have the scripts and src and test folder, which includes the unit tests, that is the karma test of unit test cases related to Aurelia application. Starting with package.json, this is the first thing which we are going to focus. Package.json represents the documentation about npm packages installed. It's like also includes the version of the packages and provides an easy way to add, delete, change version or automatically install all the packages when app needs to be shared with respect to the other developers. If I want to share my packages to other developers in such a scenario, we always get that packages are included inside package.json. So this is my package.json, and over here I have all the related applications which are needed. Say it for first one. My name of the application is say demo. Description of the application is an Aurelia client application, and here I have the version of the application, say 0.1.0. The repository, for now the type and URL is not mentioned, so that is why we have question mark over here. We have the license, as I mentioned in the earlier chapter while we had an overview about Aurelia application, is like all the applications for Aurelia JS framework is under license of MIT. Then comes the major peer dependencies. If you will look for the structure of package.json, as the name suggests, the JSON includes the key value pair which are needed for the Aurelia application. So these are the peer dependencies, these are the dev dependencies. What all dependencies are needed. Our test cases will be focused on the karma test cases. So we have all these configurations included over here. So as I mentioned, package.json over here is nothing but is a representation for a documentation about npm packages installed. Moving on to the next thing is the index.html. Here you can see it is nothing but our default page. From the name only we can suggest that it is the default page of the application like most other HTML web-based application. It is a place where scripts and styles are loaded. So this is the index.html configuration. A default page of the app like most of HTML based application, and it is a place where scripts and style sheets are loaded. After that we have config.js. So config.js is a basic file which is needed for say loader configuration, and you will not spend much time working with respect to these files. So after these files configurations, so config.js over here is karma config.js. Over here you can see the basic operations which are needed for the Aurelia application is being loaded over here. Here you can say whatever the JSON is required and the path is required, all are stated over here. And these are the JSON config like whatever the configurations are needed, it is with respect to ES6. So it is specifically mentioned over there. After this comes the next thing is like the styles folder and the scripts folder. So we have the scripts folder. Here we have the related script application. What all scripts are needed, primary scripts which are needed with respect to Aurelia application is been kept over here. Starting with app.bundle.js, app.bundle.js.map for any map related resources, vendor.bundle.js for finding the vendor configurations if any. So all that are needed over here. So these are with respect to scripts. After scripts comes the SRC folder. So this is our main folder, or I can say the primary folder, where all the coding technologies, or we can say it is a place where you will spend most of your development time. Here I would like to mention that it keeps all the HTML and JS files. Here I would like to repeat whatever the HTML files are there, that will be represented as the views, and .js files will be the model, or I can say whatever the logic which are needed for the web application with respect to JS files is included in the model structure, and it will be there in the .js extension. So as we already stated, the SRC folder is the place where the app logic will be held. If you look at the default app, which we saw for now with hello world as the example, you can see there is app.js which is present over here, and we also have app.html. So we have it for app.html, which is nothing but our view, and our app.js, which is like a JavaScript file. So I'm keeping it side by side, so here you will have a better picture. So here you can see there is something called as template. The template element over here is to declare the fragments of an HTML that can be cloned and inserted in the document by the script. We have app.js over here. We have the extension which you will see very common in Aurelia applications. In further chapters also you will have a look, like we have this export class app, which includes a constructor with a message. This app is nothing but the app which we renamed over here. So this message will be printed inside the view which is presented over here, and the message over here will be used in this particular format, that is dollar with the curly braces. We'll have a look about the various type of the extensions and how the message is represented in Aurelia applications in our further chapters, but for now, basic understanding, you can keep this in your mind. The Aurelia web application allows us to use JavaScript core language to define the class definitions. So this is the best example. It is the ES6 example of the class definition. In the next chapter, we'll understand about the ES6 and ES7 concepts in deeper. So here it starts with export class functionality, and the message property is like hello world. If I want to change the message over here, say welcome to Aurelia. So I'll just keep a message and I'll change it as welcome to Aurelia. So here you will get to know the better picture that the message property is bound to the HTML template over here with the dollar curly braces as I mentioned. This syntax represents one-way binding converted into a string and showed inside the template view. We'll have a look about the various type of the binding thing in our next chapters, which we will focus about the various binding concepts in Aurelia application. So here in app.html, as we have already discussed, we can start the server with au run in our command prompt, which is already been started. So here you can see it is already hosted in this particular server location, that is localhost 9000. So over here you can see we can refresh the code base, and like we can refresh it in our browser and we can see the change inside our message, like what we have kept. Earlier it was hello world, now it is welcome to Aurelia. If you will check out for the browser, this is the message what we are getting, because we changed our message and we have got the output. Now after changing it again, you need to again reload the page with inside our git command prompt, and you have to again run the particular project, then only you will get the associated message. The next file over here you can see is environment.js. This is to have the basic environment variables which are needed for Aurelia application. After that we have main.js. So main.js includes whatever the export functionalities, or I can say in basic terms, the third-party libraries which are needed for Aurelia application. These third-party libraries use all the standing coding standards with respect to ES6 functionality. So this was our src folder, the scripts folder, we have the test folder which includes the unit test cases which are needed. So app.spec.js, so we'll just close the unwanted file for now and focus on test cases. So these are the test cases which are needed for Aurelia, and every time when an application is run, the unit testing from the application from one point to another point is kept stagnant. So that is a basic plus point. So here, whatever it is done, it's like tested again. Whenever you run a particular application, say AU run, so it starts testing from starting point till the end point, and if it gets any kind of bugs or if it found some kind of issue in it, then that will be represented in your command prompt. So this will give you a better picture like something needs to be corrected. So that's what is present over here in the test. Scripts includes all the basic scripts as discussed, and we have the Aurelia project over here which includes a subfolder that is environments, generators and tasks. So this is like for the advanced level of the concept when you have already designed an application and it is set for the deployment stage. In such a scenario, it is always better to have it something which is designed properly, and that will give you again a better picture like, okay, these are to be needed for our environmental setup. So environment includes dev.js, production.js, and it includes stage.js. So each and every stage, or you can see every JS file includes an export functionality that is the basic representation of ES6 functionality. So we saw our Aurelia application and the changes what is possible over here. Moving on to the next chapter, we'll have a brief description about ES6 and ES7. What all are primary concepts? So what are the basic concepts which should be clear in our mind before starting with our main application? Already we have started with our application over here. We changed app.html inside src folder and we saw the output. Previously it was hello world, now welcome to Aurelia, and the output was successful. Next chapter we'll understand the basic concepts and then we'll move on to even more further development in Aurelia JS.